This is 10 News at 6, working for you.
Good evening and thanks for joining us for a special Storm Team 10 web show. It is now 5:55. I'm Jessica Jewell. Our meteorologists are working to bring you the details on continuing snowfall affecting all of us across Southwest Virginia tonight. We're keeping an eye on the skies from Martinsville to Roanoke, as well as road conditions and traffic delays. Let's start with Chief Meteorologist Jeff Hanowich, who's been tracking this storm since early this week. Jeff, what's going on right now?
Yeah, what we're looking at here is the snow starting to mix with ice in North Carolina, and that is going to be a trend that we see moving into the Commonwealth here over the next couple of hours or so. Snowfall totals so far today: White Top, Grayson County, 1.5 inches, Lynchburg around 1 inch. Blacksburg, we've had reports of anywhere from around 0.7 to a little bit over 1 inch so far. Benton Mountain, you're around 1/2 inch to 3/4 of an inch. And here at the WSLS studios in downtown Roanoke, we've reported around about 1/4 inch of snow so far. All right, here's a look at the radar, and some of us have had a little bit of a break for the last couple of hours, but notice that the snow is coming certainly back into play. We've got some heavier snow showers out across the New River Valley, heavy snow being reported out across parts of Southside. All this, by the way, moving to the east-northeast at a clip of around about 35 miles per hour. So this is a pretty quick moving storm system. Nevertheless, areas along and south of Highway 460 right now dealing with the heaviest snow. We're going to take a couple of stops here on the radar, and you'll notice areas around Rocky Mount, right along 220, Highway 40, dealing with some heavier snow bursts, as are folks in and around Martinsville, even Danville, Chatham, Gretna, seeing some moderate to heavy snow. You head towards Halifax County, the snow is not quite as heavy, but again, as this is moving to the east-northeast, looks like your snow intensity may start to pick up a little bit here over the next 30 to 45 minutes out across parts of Halifax County. As we head farther to the west, we've got some snow in and around, say, Radford into Wytheville, Max Meadows, Fort Chiswell, Dublin. Right along that I-81 corridor, we're dealing with some pretty heavy snow right now from Radford into Rural Retreat and, of course, into Marion as well. But notice also towards Tazewell and Smith counties, maybe even into northwestern parts of Grayson County, a little bit in the way of some pink showing up, an indicator that we're starting to see some mixing take place. And again, we also have some heavier snow, say in and around Galax, if not just south of Galax towards Independence. So again, that's a look at the New River Valley. One more stop will take us up north into the Highlands. You'll notice some light snow showers out across, say, parts of Allegheny and Bath counties, areas around Covington, Clifton Forge, even areas maybe around Eagle Rock, seeing some light snow showers. Nothing really to be had right now in Roanoke, but notice that the snow showers that are in the New River Valley, some moderate to even heavier snow bursts in and around Radford. Next in line is Blacksburg over the next 20 minutes or so. Next in line after that will be the Roanoke Valley over perhaps the next 40 to 60 minutes. So again, we're looking at Blacksburg starting to see a intensity increase in the snow here over the next little while, followed by the Roanoke Valley. Let's take a look at the bigger picture, and we do have a lot of moisture still to go. It looks like that the heaviest bands will be moving in this evening into the overnight into early Sunday. This is rain out west. Keep in mind they're a little bit warmer there, but it's colder here. That's why we're looking at that wintry precipitation here locally. Farther north it's snow, farther south it's going to be a little bit of a snow and mix here for us here over the next several hours or so. This warm front means everything. This warm front is going to lift to the north here over the next several hours, and what that's going to do is allow for the snow south to change over to some sleet and freezing rain, as well as we're going to get that southerly warm push that is going to allow for that change in precipitation. So here we go as we head into the overnight. We're looking at the snow filling back in. A lot of us have already seen that happen. By 10 o'clock, many of us are going to be dealing with snow, but look at where the pink is. Looks like Mountain Empire communities, western parts of the New River Valley, maybe even areas around Danville. We'll start to see some mixing, maybe some sleet and freezing rain. That sleet and freezing rain will become a little more, I think, widespread after midnight tonight, say into South Boston, Danville, Martinsville, Hillsville, Wytheville, even into Bland, while areas from Roanoke and points north still dealing with some moderate to at times heavy snow heading into late Saturday night. Now by Sunday morning, a lot of what we see south of 460 will be that mix of freezing rain and sleet. Now there's a possibility by 6 a.m. on Sunday to have just plain old rain out across South Boston, where farther to the north towards the Highlands, southern Shenandoah, you're still dealing with some pockets of moderate to heavy snow. We are looking at the snow continuing by around lunchtime tomorrow. should let up in intensity somewhat by around lunchtime in areas north of Roanoke. South of Roanoke may actually get a little bit of a break. And really after lunchtime tomorrow, I don't think we're going to be fully dry, but the precipitation becomes much lighter at that point with some scattered light snow showers in the forecast for us from tomorrow afternoon into tomorrow night. I think most of us should be dry around Monday morning. So as far as expected snowfall tonight, and this all the way through Monday, this does include the snow that has already fallen, by the way. This forecast has been unchanged. Areas in pink, we're looking at 4 to 8 inches of snow. That does include Mountain Lake, Blacksburg, Christiansburg, Copper Hill and Floyd County, northern parts of Franklin County, say near Boones Mill, into areas say near Bedford, Lynchburg, up north into Amherst, Livingston, Lexington, Fincastle, Daleville, Covington, Clifton Forge, Hot Springs, Monterey. 4 to 8 inches of snow. Even areas say in the parts of West Virginia, say near Snowshoe, you could perhaps get as high as 10, 11, even 12 inches of snow, say towards northern parts of Pocahontas County. And then areas in white, that's where we're looking at 2 to 4 inches of snow. There could be an isolated higher amount mixing in into this white area as well. And that includes Wytheville, Hillsville, Galax, Rocky Mount, Smith Mountain Lake, also into areas, say, near Rustburg. 1 to 2 inches of snow on top of quite a bit of mixing from Martinsville, Danville, South Boston, and Charlotte Courthouse. Could areas, say, near Martinsville pick up maybe a little bit over 2 inches, maybe up to 3? Sure. But for the most part in gray, we're looking at around 1 to 2 inches. As far as winter weather driving tips, we've got a few for you. You want to check the tread and your tire pressure. Also make sure you clear your windows of any sort of ice, clear the top of your car of the snow, because it's really difficult to drive behind somebody who has snow still on their car and the snow's kind of falling off as you're following them. And just also know that ice may mix with snow south of Highway 460. So there's a look at some driving tips for you. Again, these may come in handy for us here tonight into Sunday, because that is really when we're going to start to see the heaviest precipitation move in. And I think we're starting to actually perhaps even see that happen right now towards the NRV and Mountain Empire.
Saw some beautiful snow falling earlier today in Roanoke, but we really haven't even gotten started yet.
In Roanoke, yeah, we saw some, but
yeah.
The worst is yet to come.
Yeah,
for sure.
And we do want to encourage people. I know a lot of you are asking questions. We want to encourage you to ask those questions. We are here to answer those questions for you. We know we don't have a 6 o'clock newscast on WSLS 10, but that's why we are here online and on Facebook to answer any questions you may have. So keep them coming. I know a lot of people are asking about certain areas and how much snow they're getting.
Right.
Some people asking about driving tips and things like that. So we are here to answer those questions for you. And our producer is going to be letting us know if we have any of those questions. Katie, do we have any of those right now?
Will power outages be a concern? This kind of segues into what you're going to be talking about here in a second. We've talked a lot about snow, but that's only part one of the equation with this storm system. The other thing we need to talk about is the likelihood for the mix, for some freezing rain and sleet mixing in as well. So Chris, I'll let you handle that, because that's
exactly.
You've been looking at a lot of stuff today.
Yeah, and you know, there's multiple precipitation types when we're dealing with this kind of storm system. So whereas in December we were talking all about snow, this time around, as Jeff was saying, there's a potential for mixing. So especially across south side, the I-77 corridor, where there could be a few places over 1/4 of an inch of ice, that's where we may see the potential for power outages. But in the meantime, we do want to give you a current look outside at what's going on in the Star City, courtesy of our Carillion Skycam. Travel looking pretty smooth right now in downtown Roanoke, and that's because we really haven't seen much snow after that little bit of a burst that we had, say, earlier in the day. But you can see the snow showers again, as Jeff was talking about, moving into parts of south side, the NRV. Everything that we see right now is basically moving toward the northeast. But as Jeff was just talking about, we're going to kind of transition into more of a freezing rain focus kind of forecast here for areas especially along into the south of Highway 460. So if the warm air above 3,000 feet gets closer to Roanoke, we could see a glaze to maybe 1/10 of an inch of ice, but it's really for areas from, I'd say, Smith Mountain Lake and Rocky Mount southward that have the better chance to see accumulating freezing rain, at which point we could see some scattered power outages in Danville, Hillsville, parts of Floyd County, Wytheville, Galax, Martinsville. So that's something we're watching obviously very closely as we go through the night. So what is it that makes this storm system a little different than the last? Well, last storm system, all we had was cold air. From the top to the bottom of the atmosphere, that's all we had. So everything fell as snow. Right above us at about 3,000 to 5,000 feet, we're dealing with a layer of air that is above freezing, so everything's falling as rain. and then when it comes into contact with the ground, it freezes on contact with power lines, trees, and things like that. If you were to start hearing things clanging, that's actual ice pellets or sleet that would be falling, and that's not quite as dangerous as freezing rain. Freezing rain, if we were to get, say, 1/10 of an inch to 1/4 of an inch, you would have some coated cars, some icy bridges, icy roadways. If you were to see more than 1/4 of an inch of ice, that's where we would start to talk about the potential for some scattered power outages. So not necessarily a widespread threat for us as we go through tonight, but something that we're keeping an eye on heading through the next few days. So yeah, messy roads pretty much a given for us. Some of you have already seen that in parts of Grayson and Carroll counties earlier today. And with more snow moving in and the sun down, it looks like things are going to pretty much stick to the ground as they fall. By Monday, we could still see some school schedule changes. In fact, right now we've got a complete list of schedule changes for area churches on WSLS.com. And then the power outage threat right now, we'll keep it at a moderate. So we're pretty much just at the beginning of this event. And want to remind you guys, especially now, since we're not currently on air due to the Chiefs and Colts game, that you can keep in touch with us in a multitude of ways. It is 2019 after all. So we've got the Storm Team 10 app. We've got our website. You're watching us on social media right now, and then, of course, tonight at 11, we'll have more on this winter nonsense that's going on here this weekend.
I like that, winter nonsense.
Yeah, when things really pick up. And as you mentioned, it's a lot different than last time. I know some people are saying, well, we're not expected to get as many inches as last time, but that doesn't mean that you should be any less vigilant, stay off the road still, be careful.
You bring up a good point because, you know, when Jeff was showing the snow total map for 1 to 2 inches across Southside or 2 to 4 inches from Rocky Mount to Martinsville, you start to think, oh, okay, good. You know, it's not too bad. I've seen 1 to 2, 2 to 4 inches of snow before, but when you add the mixing on top of that, that's actually worse than the 4 to 8 inches that we're expecting in Roanoke and Lynchburg, because snow, you just get it out of the way.
Right.
Ice, what do you do with it? You
Ice,
take
Especially
a,
when it's on top of snow.
yeah. You got to wait sometimes. So.
Yep. And I understand we have a couple of questions from some viewers. So, Katie, go ahead. When will the Roanoke accumulation start to be at its heaviest? We think that will happen here over the next couple of hours and last into tomorrow morning. That's a question solely about Roanoke. I believe, Katie, correct me if I'm wrong, but when will the Roanoke accumulation be at its heaviest? We're thinking that will happen within the next couple of hours, lasting into probably the 6, 7, 8 a.m. time frame.
Withville.
Okay, so as far as Withville, that's the one question we're getting. Snow totals looking at anywhere from 2 to 4 inches, and the reason why we give you that range is because if there's more mixing, then you see closer to 2 inches. If there's less mixing, you see closer to 4. No matter how you slice it, 2 to 4 inches, it's an impactful storm for you in Withville. But yeah, so that's pretty much the case for Withville, Pulaski, parts of Carroll County, Grayson County, pretty much that entire part of the area, 2 to 4. So.
South Boston.
South Boston, we've been talking about 1 to 2 inches of snow. That's the better chance for seeing ice accumulation. In
Perhaps
fact,
up to 1/4, if not maybe even above 1/4 of an inch of icing in South Boston. That's where we could have some power outages. That area of our southeasternmost counties, that area could potentially see the most icing, simply because of the fact that they could see the most amount of freezing rain. And the changeover, frankly, a little bit sooner than other people.
And we do want to mention, too, we've been talking to Appalachian Power this week. They said that they have crews on standby. You know, we've been talking about the power outages aren't a big concern for most of the area. Some areas, absolutely, it is a concern. But Appalachian Power is on top of it. They have crews on standby, ready to go if that does become a big problem. In the meantime, we want to give you a look at some of our pictures and videos that we've been getting from viewers like you as the storm moves in this evening. The snow definitely sticking to the ground in Parisburg. That's beautiful. This was sent to us by Alicia Hollins. You can see the roads there already turning white.
This also shows the snow out there in Floyd County. Dawn Hill sent these in, and you can really see the snow building up on those trees and even on the ground, too.
That's a pretty picture, too. I like that one a lot. Now, there's not quite a layer of snow yet in Callaway. That's in Franklin County, and Kelly Moran sent us this shot. This was from earlier today. You can even see past the forest, okay? The sky very cloudy there. At times, the snow will limit the visibility as we go through tonight.
And guys, you probably agree with me. Untouched snow is just such a beautiful sight. Of course, you like to go out and play in it and walk in it, but when no one's walked on it yet, it is just such a gorgeous sight. And take a look at it here. Robert Smith sent us this photo of a church out in Hillsville. You can't even see where the parking lot would be, and it brings up a good point. That's a church. You might see some church closings tomorrow, and we've got that list, of course, on WSLS.com.
Yeah, and guys, not a good night to barbecue, to say the least.
Don't tell me what to do, Jeff.
Yeah, okay, if that's the case, I'll place an order. Herbert Kamick of Hot Springs sent us this photo off of his back porch where Hot Springs, your snow will become heavier here over the next maybe 2 to 4 hours or so. You've seen some in Hot Springs, obviously, but the worst is yet to come for you folks up, say, towards the Highlands and even towards the southern Shenandoah.
And of course, we want you all to continue sending us your pictures and your video. Do it safely, of course, but you can do that by sending it to our WSLS.com website, or you can do it on our Facebook page. Just search WSLS 10. We would love to see what you are seeing. Beautiful sights that these people are sharing with us. And we want to see it.
Yeah, but don't put yourself in danger.
Absolutely.
Make sure you're safe before taking any sort of videos or pictures. Please do not take any videos while you're driving. I mean, common sense right there, especially when the roads are going to be kind of treacherous here.
Step on your deck and send us a picture of your backyard.
Yeah. I'm sorry, I've been kind of quiet because we had a question. What was that, Katie? It was about Mercer County? Okay, in terms of ice, Mercer County is not a great concern just because we're looking mainly farther south of Mercer County to see any kind of ice accumulation. It's mainly going to be snow for you. And I believe if we were to draw into Mercer County, which we really haven't done with our map, it would probably be about 2 to 4 inches of snow. So, yeah.
Maybe even isolated higher amounts in Mercer. But it goes without saying that this is going to be something that we're going to be dealing with for days after. Okay, the precipitation is going to end sometime probably Sunday night or Monday morning. But it does look as though we're going to have the ramifications from this storm system lasting for quite some time after the snow and ice exit.
So important to download that Storm Team 10 weather app. Be sure you're liking us on Facebook so you can stay up to date, and then watch us tonight on 10 News at 11 because we will have live team coverage for you then. We're tracking this all throughout the day. You've been tracking it all week.
Yeah. Been losing sleep over it.
Yes, absolutely.
3 o'clock a.m. conference calls with the team.
It's a lot of hard work that goes into it, but I do want to give you guys props because your forecast has been spot on throughout this time. So
thank you.
You've been putting a lot of hard work into this to make sure that everyone stays safe out there. So.
And before we go, I do want to mention one other thing, and that is the sun angle. Okay, I think it's up in our weather computer right now. Can we pop up the weather computer real quick, Marie, if we can? Okay, the sun angle. On January the 13th, which is tomorrow, the sun angle is 31 degrees, okay? And the lower the sun angle means it's going to take longer for the snow to melt and the ice to melt too. So again, because of the fact that we're in January, and we're not looking at temperatures getting into the 50s after the storm. Temperatures will likely be in the 30s on Monday, may sneak into the 40s on Tuesday. It's going to take longer to melt the snow and the ice. And I want to show you the 7-day forecast before we go as well. And Chris, notice that we're up to 42 on Tuesday, 46 Wednesday. But are you kidding me? Look at next weekend.
Yeah.
Say it ain't so.
I know. Well, we got temperatures falling below freezing at night, which could add to refreezing. Then looking toward next weekend, the pattern starts to get a little more active if there's enough cold air to come in on the backside. We could be dealing with yet another snow system, but let's get through one and then focus on that. I've already gotten questions on Facebook, and I'm like, you know, I'd love to answer that, but
let's get through this.
Let's get through let's not put the cart before the horse, please. But
hey, but if it makes you feel any better, folks who are interested in the next one, I'm not going to lie to you. I've looked a lot. I've started even formulating some ideas in my head. So I'd be lying to tell you if, yeah, we got to get through this one. Have we looked to next weekend?
Oh, yeah.
Of course.
Oh, yeah.
It's kind of what we get paid to do.
Oh, yeah. And it looks potentially even bigger than this one.
Oh.
So
well,
that's
snow
all we're
only
say
happens on weekends, so.
Yeah.
But it could be something that we could be watching a storm next Sunday and then another one as we head in the following week. So this is a pattern. This is the pattern that we're in. This is the pattern that's going to stick around here for maybe 2 to 3 more weeks.
Yeah.
Oh, boy. Well, of course, you all will be tracking it all. We are not done yet. We want to give you another live look across the skies in the Roanoke Valley. This is from our Roanoke-Blacksburg Regional Airport Sky Cam. You see maybe a little bit going on there right now. Like we mentioned, it's only just begun. We are now learning Lynchburg Regional Airport's flights have all been canceled tomorrow. If you're planning on flying tomorrow, be sure to check if your flight is still scheduled. By the continuing snow, throughout the day, we've learned of a crash that closed eastbound lanes on Route 460 in Bedford County. Traffic was backed up for several miles. VDOT has not shown any major delays on Interstate 81. Here's some photos of the crash. State police say it was caused by slick road conditions. Emergency crews say no one was severely injured. As you can see, it's fairly clear along most highways throughout Southwest Virginia for now. Of course, VDOT advising drivers not to travel unless you absolutely have to. Now for other stories making headlines today, we're now in the longest government shutdown in history. 9 of the 15 cabinet level departments have not been funded. It appears the current shutdown will last at least a few more days, with Democratic lawmakers rejecting President Donald Trump's demands to include $5.7 billion for a border wall in a spending bill. The shutdown has furloughed 380,000 federal workers and forced an additional 420,000 to work without pay. Franklin County deputies have arrested a woman they say was posing as an escort on social media. Tabitha Amos was arrested on multiple charges from outstanding warrants, including felony child endangerment. Deputies say the investigation is ongoing and more charges are pending. Amos is being held in the Western Virginia Regional Jail without bond. The grandfather of a Wisconsin teen kidnapped during a home invasion back in October insists his granddaughter did not know the kidnapper. He wonders whether Jake Patterson was stalking Jamie Kloss. This week, the 13-year-old escaped from a cabin in northwestern Wisconsin, where she spent nearly 3 months in captivity. Authorities say Patterson shot and killed Jamie's parents in their home on October 15th and then took Jamie. Patterson is charged with kidnapping and 2 counts of intentional homicide. 16 children have died from the flu so far this season. An estimated 6 to 7 million people have had the flu across America. The latest report from the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention finds widespread flu activity in 30 states, including right here in the Commonwealth. Millions in the Midwest are also dealing with heavy snowstorms. Overnight, snow started falling in St. Louis. Multiple interstates were closed and many drivers were stranded. The Highway Patrol says they checked up on those stuck in the snow and gave them food and water. Here's a live look over the south side skies. This is our New College Institute Skycam in Martinsville. Doesn't seem like any snow is falling there right now, but could be changing in the next couple of hours.
That's definitely looking to be the case. Yeah, we've got a few batches of snow around the area, one of which may actually move into Martinsville within the next 30 to 60 minutes. And things are starting to at least become a little more widespread. And for that, we can take you to the radar right now, which is in the weather computer if production can hear. There we go. So yeah, we can kind of start to see things filling back in into Blacksburg, into Radford, some heavier pockets of snow maybe around Dublin and Pulaski, and also around Cana and Fancy Gap, moving into parts of Patrick County. You can kind of see the general trajectory as things are moving off toward the northeast. You can also see the pink moving into parts of Grayson and Smith counties. So that is this warm nose or warm layer of air at about the 3,000 foot level that we're tracking very carefully, because it's probably going to mean some mixing of either sleet or freezing rain, especially for areas along and south of 460. And Jeff, that's why our snowfall forecast has looked like this since Wednesday.
That's exactly right, and that mixing is key to the forecast, okay? If mixing does not happen, then these totals could be higher. If mixing happens earlier and farther north, then these numbers would be a little bit high. So, you know, it's all about where and when that mixing takes place. But if this map looks familiar to you, we've shown it many, many times since Wednesday. 4 to 8 inches of snow in areas, say, towards Pearisburg, Mountain Lake, Blacksburg, Christiansburg, Benton Mountain, Copper Hill, Boones Mill, Bedford, Lynchburg, up north into Lexington, Hot Springs, Covington, Fincastle, Daleville, and also into Monterey. It looks like Snowshoe could maybe get up to even 10 inches. Ooh. 2 to 4 inches of snow, with some mixing in Wytheville, Hillsville, Rocky Mount, Smith Mountain Lake, also into Rustburg. 1 to 2 inches, Martinsville, Danville, South Boston, Charlotte Courthouse, Axton. There could be maybe areas in that 1 to 2 that pick up closer to 3, like maybe even Martinsville could be one of those locations. There could be a few spots in that pink blob that get a little bit more than 8 inches. But this is a pretty widespread estimate as to what we're expecting for these areas. Again, in pink, 4 to 8, in white, 2 to 4, and in gray, 1 to 2. There could be isolated higher amounts in each of these blobs. I want to make that abundantly clear. It all depends on where these heavier snow bands set up.
Yeah, because if we forecast 0.4 to 0.8 inches of rain and we get 0.85, no one bats an eye. Nope. If we forecast 4 to 8 and someone gets 8.5, all of a sudden we're not doing so hot. Meanwhile, it's the same thing.
Yeah, we kind of got that with the last storm. We forecast 8 to 14 for Roanoke, and Roanoke got anywhere between 11 and 15, and we had a lot of people saying we were wrong, when in actuality, it was a pretty good forecast.
It's a tough job.
So, yeah.
Yeah, that's all right.
A lot of time and effort goes into it to make sure that you guys know what to expect. I know a lot of the questions that we've been getting on Facebook are about specific areas. Remember, we will be posting this on our Facebook page after. You're watching it live right now, but you can go back and watch this. If you have any more questions, we'll also be monitoring that.
We do have an article as well, not to interrupt you. We do have an article with the snow map, the freezing rain map. That way you can go and look at those maps and see. Oh, good question. I believe it's 25, right? Or less than 25?
I think it's in the middle 20s.
Okay, so the question was, at what point does salting the road become pointless? And I believe it's below 25. I don't see too many people getting below that, though.
And the thing that was interesting about the snow so far today is there's a big difference between areas and roads that were brined and not brined.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, the secondary roads that were not brined were snow covered pretty rapidly. But those that were brined, i.e. the major roads, earlier today, I'm not speaking for the roads right now, I've been out on major road in 4.5 hours, so I cannot speak to what the roads are right now, but coming into work, and this was during that first little burst of snow, the main roads were absolutely fine. They were just wet, and I think that speaks a lot to the hard work by the VDOT folks, who not only put in hard work before the storm, they're putting in hard work during the storm, and they're going to put in hard work after the storm, so thank you.
Oh, yeah. And of course, we will be talking to VDOT tonight on 10 News at 11. We'll be checking in with them to see how road conditions are all across Southwest and Central Virginia. So we will have those answers for you about those road conditions, and know that they have pre-treated a lot of roads. As you mentioned, we've all seen it on those major roads, but some of those roads are going to be a little dicey if they haven't been pre-treated.
Absolutely.
And of course, now is the time to get your phone, go to your app store and search for WSLS. That way you can download our Storm Team 10 weather app, which you will definitely want throughout the weekend to track the latest weather conditions. And of course, any closings and delays. We do expect to have some church closings tomorrow. Of course, you can also find those on our website at WSLS.com. And as Chris mentioned, we've got lots of helpful information for you there about the forecast, what you can expect, anything you need to know. We are working very hard for you to make sure that you know exactly what to expect and how this storm is going to impact you.
Yes, ma'am. That's all I can say.
Hey, that's it.
The last thing I'll say is, if we can get through 12 to 18 inches of snow, we can get through this.
Yes, we can.
That was kind of the benchmark. Now, I think we can make it through anything. That's just my personal opinion.
I agree. And everybody's working hard to keep everyone safe.
That's right.
So thank you so much for joining us for our special winter weather web show. We will be back with live team coverage coming up tonight on 10 News at 11. Here's a last look at Blacksburg from our Virginia Tech Skycam. We hope you have a good night, stay safe, and we will see you back here at 11.